Few things empower us more than forgiveness, and few things imprison us more than a lack of forgiveness. Look at Iran today and juxtapose it with democratic South Africa in the post-Mandela era. Look at Iran today. Iran is unable to reach any compromise with the West, still struggling with their nuclear hegemony, their desire to destabilize the region in many ways of the world, and to support terror, Hamas, Hezbollah, and far beyond. Incredibly, I read an article a number of years ago in the Foreign Affairs magazine where this in-depth analysis showed what was the root of the supreme leader today, Ali Khamenei's opposition, intransigence towards the West. He cannot forgive them. Many years ago when he was a student, witnessing America meddling in how he saw in Iranian affairs, caused him to believe that America was the enemy. And decades later, almost 70 years later, he is unable to forgive. The inability to forgive imprisons and brings yourself down. Instability to your own country, the region, and who knows beyond. The inability to forgive. Juxtapose that to South Africa. I am a person who grew up in apartheid South Africa. I never believed that the transition from decades of apartheid discrimination against the 45 million blacks of South Africa would be forgiven of those 5 million whites. I thought there would be bloodshed and it would not be a peaceful transfer of power, as is often the case in revolutions. Yet, amazingly, it was. Many people, and I also believe it, can be attributed to the leadership of one person, Nelson Mandela. Yes, 27 years of his life were taken away through discrimination and apartheid, and the lives of many others. Yet he was able to move forward and to forgive. He said, if the whites of South Africa are prepared to have reconciliation, to hand over power, and are prepared to confess and ask for forgiveness, then we should be able to forgive. And his leadership at such a critical time, saying, let us move forward, is what was able to transition South Africa with all of its challenges, 27 years later today, still with a thriving democracy. The ability to forgive. That is what Yom Kippur is all about. You see, to err, said Alexander Pope, to make mistakes is human. To forgive is divine. And the root of divine forgiveness is Yom Kippur. God says if anybody shouldn't be able to forgive, it is God. He's the absolute God, and what he stands for is absolute justice. And us going against his will and doing terrible things and sinning is absolutely wrong. Yet the absolute God is prepared to break the cycle of justice, of chet v'onsho, of action and reaction, of sin and consequence, and punishment and death, God forbid, saying, I'm able to forgive. That is the greatness of Yom Kippur. The Gemara Masechet Ta'anit says, how can it be on a day of affliction, of Inuyim, that we're fasting, and such a solemn day? It's the happiest day of the year. How can it be? Says the Gemara, it's the day of divine forgiveness. God says, I forgive and I move forward. I break the cycle of justice. No longer sit in my throne of justice, which is so uncompromising, to the throne, to the elements of forgiveness, compassion, and pardon and mercy. And may we all, Bezrat Hashem, emulate God and move in our personal and collective lives to that of forgiveness, and be able in every possible way to be able to forgive, to be able to free, to be able to see the world and those around us through compassion and forgiveness, because we not only free others of what they have done, we free ourselves able to move forward and live in not only a more just, but a kinder and more compassionate world. Gmar Chatima Tova to all of us.